fact, guys, the motion of projectile is an application of curvilinear motion using rectangular components. And as I said in the video lecture, guys, the key to solve any problem in projectile is to divide it into two directions, the horizontal motion and the vertical motion. Why? Because in fact, the motion is uniform in the horizontal motion, and this is because the acceleration is zero, and this means that the velocity is constant. So I only have this equation, which is the equation of position versus time, and the vertical motion, and this is because, in fact, here I have a uniformly accelerated motion where the acceleration is constant and it's equal to minus gravity, AY. And then, guys, I can have the equation of velocity versus time, the equation of position versus time, and don't forget, I'm going to have the last equation, which is the equation that is independent of time. All right? So this is the key, guys, to solve any projectile motion. It's divided into these two directions, and then you have to choose the corresponding equation that has only one unknown so that I can solve it. Now, if you have two unknowns, you should use two equations and solve them simultaneously, two corresponding equations, and solve them simultaneously, guys, in order to find your unknowns. Now, guys, let's start by this problem, and you're going to understand what I mean by solving two equations to one. So here, guys, I'm going to neglect the size of the ball, and I should determine the magnitude VA. What is the magnitude VA? It is the magnitude of the initial velocity. All right, so this is the initial velocity, V0. I should find its magnitude. I don't know the magnitude. However, I know the angle. All right, so I know this angle, which is 30 degrees of the basketball's initial velocity, and its velocity, I should also find its velocity, VB, when it passes through the basket. So I should find, guys, VA in magnitude and VB, the whole VB, which means I should find VBX, VBY, and then I should find the magnitude of VB. And don't forget, guys, that the projectile is a 2D motion. All right? So what are the inputs that I have? The first, guys, step is to indicate the origin. Now, you can indicate this origin here as A, and in this case, XA is equal to YA is equal to 0. But pay attention, guys. What will be XB? 10. What will be YB? If I take this as my origin, what will be YB, guys? It will be, if I take A as my origin, what will be YB? It will be 1. It is a 3 minus 2, guys. It will be 1. Now, what I'm going to do is to take this as origin. And in this case, if I take this as origin, then A will have an X that is equal to 0. But Y0 will be equal to 2. And B will have an X that is equal to 10 and Y that is equal to 3. All right? Now, what are the other inputs? I know that VAX is equal to the unknown VA cosine 30 and VAY will be equal to VA, the unknown VA sine 30. All right, guys? Now, this is the horizontal direction, and this is the vertical direction. Now, how should I proceed? In fact, guys, I'm gonna go over these equations to find out if I have one equation with one unknown. If not, I should take two equations with two unknowns. All right? So the first part of the question is to find VA in magnitude. All right. What about this equation? Do I know XB? Yes. Do I know VX0? No, because I don't know the magnitude of VA. Now T0 is of course 0. Do I know T? No. Do I know X0? Yes. So I have two unknowns in this equation. What about this equation? Do I know VYB? No. T0 is equal to 0. Do I know T? No. Do I know VY0? No, because I don't know the magnitude. Right, so I have three unknowns in this equation. So this is three unknowns, and this is two unknowns. All right. What about this equation? Do I know YB? Yes. Do I know T? No. T0 is equal to 0. T0 is equal to 0. So I don't know t, right? So right, I did it first. All right. So I don't know t, and I don't know vy0 because in fact I don't know the magnitude of y0, but I know y0. So this has two unknowns, right? What about this equation? Do I know vyb? No. Do I know vy0? No, because I don't know the magnitude. Do I know yb? Yes. Do I know y0? Yes. So I have also two equations. All right? So I don't have any equation that has only one unknown. And this means, guys, that I need to solve two equations to unknowns. All right, guys? I don't have any equation that has only two unknowns. So that's why I'm going to solve two equations to unknowns. What do you think, guys, are these two equations? I can choose this equation with this equation, or this equation with this equation. I cannot choose this equation at all because it has three unknowns. So guys, what I'm going to do is to choose this equation with this equation, because if I choose this equation with this equation, I'm going to have another third unknown, which is Vy. So I'm not going to use this system. I'm going to use this equation with this equation. All right? So let's write down these two equations. All right. So the first equation is xb. Now what is xb? It is 10 is equal to vax, which is v0, or va. It is the same. Cosine 30t plus x0, which is 0. Right? Now what will be, as I said, the second equation? The second equation will be the equation of y, and yb will be what? 3 is equal to minus 0.5 half times 9.81 times t squared plus v0 y, which is v0 sine 30t, right? Plus y0, and y0 is what? It is 2. Right? So that's it, guys. I have two equations, two unknowns. What are these two unknowns? V0 and t. So what I'm going to do, you can solve it, of course, using your calculator, but what I'm going to do here is to find V0, or to find t, sorry, in terms of V0. So what will be t? It is 10 over V0 cosine 30. All right? And then I'm going to replace this equation here, all right, in this equation. So 3 will be equal to minus 0.5 times 9.81 times v squared, which is 10 over v0 cosine 30 squared plus v0 sine 30 times 10 over v0 cosine 30. So this will be 10 tangent 30. All right, plus, right? So guys, yes, if you replace t here, 10 over v0, v0 will be simplified, sine over cosine will be tangent. So guys, now you can find v0. So now you can find v0, and you can in fact have two v0. One is positive, one is negative, because in fact this is to the power 2, and of course you have to choose the positive, guys, va, because in fact it has a positive vax and a positive vay. All right, guys? All right? Do you have any question? All right, so guys, this is for v0. You can find now v0. I don't have the answer, in fact. And then, guys, the second part is to find vb. How to find vb, guys? What do you think? If I go back to this equation, now I know v0 y, because I know v0. If I know v0 y, then this equation will be converted to how many unknowns? Only one unknown, which is vy. All right? So I can find vyb now, all right, using this equation. Is that enough to find vyb? If I need to find vb, so let's write it down. Right? So I know that the independent equation of time is v squared y minus v squared y0 is equal to minus 2, 9.81 y minus y0, and yb is what? It is a 3. Now what is y0? It's 2. All right? Just 1 minute, Hassan. All right? Now, what about v squared y that I can find? This is vyb. So vyb will be equal to radical plus or minus. You're gonna, guys, tell me if this is a plus or if this is a minus. Minus 2, 9 times 9.81 plus v squared y0 that I found earlier, which is v0 sine 30 squared. Guys, what do you think? vyb will be positive or negative? So let's go back to the example. What do you think, guys? vyb will be positive or negative? So guys, this is vb. This is vb. It has a positive x, of course, because v0x is always constant, but it has a negative component in y direction. All right? So vyb will be negative. Okay, so you're gonna choose the negative root. Right? So this is the negative root. Now, vxb is always constant, is equal to vxa, because the acceleration in the horizontal direction is 0, and this vxa will be v0 that I found earlier, v0 cosine 30. Now, I know vyb and I know vxb, I can find vb. So vb will be equal to radical vyb squared plus vxb squared. That's it all. All right?